The Ironborn claim they are descended from the first men. They say their ancestors crossed the land bridge from Essos, brought iron weapons and carved a brutal life from sea and stone. But when we look at the Iron Islands themselves, the ruins, the stone, the legends, that story begins to fall apart. Because the Iron Islands are full of things the Ironborn did not build, do not understand, and cannot explain. And when we compare those ancient remnants to what we see happening in A Song of Ice and Fire right now, especially through characters like Euron Greyjoy, the implication becomes unsettling. The Ironborn may not have been the first people to rule those islands. Hello everyone, and welcome to Storyteller's Codex. Here we delve deep into the rich lore of The Lord of the Rings, A Song of Ice and Fire, and the vast worlds beyond. On this channel, we blend the soothing power of cutting-edge technology with the timeless knowledge of dedicated storytellers. That's us, the voices behind the Codex. Settle in, relax, and enjoy. The Ironborn say they descend from the first men, but their beliefs already set them apart. They do not worship the old gods the way the first men do. They reject weirwoods. They have no sacred trees. Instead, they worship the drowned god, a deity tied entirely to the sea, death, and rebirth through drowning. Their cultural founder, the Grey King, is a semi-mythical figure said to have ruled for 1,000 years, married a mermaid, and killed the sea dragon Naga. Already, this origin story reads less like human history and more like inherited myth, something remembered imperfectly rather than recorded. And notably, Ironborn tradition is almost silent on what came before the Grey King. Geographically, the Iron Islands are a poor match for early human settlement. They're rocky, storm-battered, agriculturally weak, and isolated. Most First Men settlements formed along rivers, forests, or fertile plains, not barren sea stacks. The world of Ice and Fire notes no clear archaeological trail of early First Men culture on the islands, no ancient farms, no pastoral traditions, no gradual adaptation. Instead, Ironborn culture appears fully formed, violent, seafaring and ritualistic, almost as if it was adopted, not evolved. That raises the possibility that the Ironborn did not settle empty land, but arrived after something else was already there. Across the Iron Islands, there are structures made of oily black stone. The most famous is the seastone chair, but similar stone appears in foundations, ruins, and ancient sites. This matters because oily black stone appears elsewhere in the world, in places explicitly associated with ancient inhuman civilizations. Ashai, Yin, parts of the Far East. In every case, this stone predates recorded human history and is never associated with the First Men, the Andals, or the Valyrians. The Ironborn do not quarry it, they do not shape it, they simply sit on it. The seastone chair is not just old, it is alien. It is carved from a single block of oily black stone, shaped into something vaguely humanoid but wrong in proportion. Too smooth, too fused. The Ironborn kings sit on it, but they did not build it. They do not know who did. Compare this to the Iron Throne. Forged, explained, documented. The seastone chair has none of that. It simply exists, like a relic from a civilization that ruled before names mattered. And in the current story, Euron Greyjoy deliberately chooses this chair as his seat of power, aligning himself with something ancient rather than traditional. On Old Wick stands Naga's Hill, where the Ironborn claim the Grey King slew the sea dragon Naga. The bones are massive, far larger than any known dragon skeleton. Dragon bones in Westeros are long, hollow, and rib-like. Naga's remains are thick, curved, and irregular. More importantly, Old Wick itself is layered with ruins beneath ruins. It is the Ironborn's holiest site, yet its oldest structures predate Ironborn history entirely. In A Feast for Crows, Aeron Damphair treats Old Wick as sacred without ever questioning who sanctified it first. Ironborn legends speak of the Deep Ones, sea-dwelling beings who ruled before humans and bred with them. Most characters dismiss this as superstition, but similar legends exist far away, in the Thousand Islands, where people worship sea gods and mutilate themselves in ritual fashion. These are not shared cultures, and yet the myths align, which suggests not coincidence, but cultural memory distorted by time. In ASO IAF, myths often turn out to be history misunderstood. Compare Ironborn culture to other First Men descendants. The North worships trees and memory. The Ironborn worship drowning and rebirth. The North values endurance and kinship. The Ironborn glorify reaving and taking. These are not adaptations to climate. They are ideological differences. Even characters like Asher Greyjoy, who try to reform Ironborn society, struggle against something deeper than tradition, almost like an inherited instinct. One possibility fits the evidence best. The Ironborn did not build the ancient structures of the Iron Islands. They replaced whoever did. Oral cultures often erase the past when it's inconvenient or incomprehensible. Ruins become thrones. Bones become dragons. And this pattern repeats elsewhere in Westeros. The First Men replacing earlier peoples, the Andals replacing the First Men, history buried layer by layer. The Ironborn may be rulers of the islands, but not their creators. The Iron Islands remember violence, not origins. They remember kings, not builders. They remember conquest, not inheritance. But the land remembers. 3. The Black Stone. The seastone chair. Naga's bones. Old Wick itself. And in the current story, characters like Euron Greyjoy seem drawn to these ancient remnants. Not as curiosities, but as sources of power. Which raises an uncomfortable possibility. The Ironborn did not just inherit the Iron Islands. They inherited something that was already waiting. If you're interested in The Lord of the Rings or A Song of Ice and Fire, click one of the links on the screen to dive deeper into the lore. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you next time.